Hello, and welcome, friends and mortal enemies. Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Terror is a Mood podcast, a sibling account of true crime and paranormal activity. Kick back, and let's set the mood with your hosts, Valerie and Melanie.
What's up, Mel?
Hey, Val. How's it going? Sorry, my husband just walked in, so super distracted.
Hell yeah. My husband is on a boat with my kids.
Nice. Oh, yeah, with the family.
Did I tell you we call it La Sancha? Because his boat is the other woman. If he's not with me, he's with her.
He's with the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember. Oh, the icebreaker. We have an icebreaker for you guys as a, hey, here's a little bit more about us. This would be fun. Let's learn about each other.
Can I go first? Can I ask you?
It wasn't even your idea. I don't think that's fair.
But I have more questions. I have more questions than you.
Okay, go ahead so I can get my notes together.
Melanie, would you rather go to prison for 10 years for something you did not do, or commit a serious crime and live in fear of being caught every day for the rest of your life?
I could not carry that fear. I'd have to go to prison for 10 years.
For something you didn't do?
I don't. I'm really comfortable in small spaces. Is that weird?
Yes.
It's because of how we grew up. Again, let's refer to the very tiny home we were raised in.
Oh my gosh. When are we going to talk about
West
that?
Side.
West
When
Side?
when we have a listener episode. So please send in your listener episodes at terrorisamood@gmail.com. We have a really good story, ghost story ourselves that we would love to share with you all.
Hell yes. We want to hear your ghost stories. And of course, we want them to be experiences you've had, not like you being creative and sexy and making up something. We want to know what you've experienced as far as like a ghost story or a true crime link or your great-grandma's true crime link. However, we're interested in it all.
Yeah. Who was there for what folklore that you were raised on?
All right,
That
Mel.
stuff.
You're up.
Okay, Val. Would you rather live with a poltergeist or live with an evil doll?
Shit. Oh, no.
I wanted to tell you to make it like a little bit easier. Assume neither of them want to kill you. You just have to live with them. And they're not cool.
You know what? I'm going to say poltergeist because dolls scared the shit out of me. And also, Russ calls me a poltergeist because I'm the person who leaves like every drawer and every like kitchen cabinet open every time I'm in. And he's like, oh, the poltergeist is back every time he walks in and everything's open. I'm sorry.
That's such a funny little husband joke.
I know.
No, I can totally. I do the same thing. I wonder if it's hereditary.
Or just
Does Mom do it?
poltergeists. Maybe we were poltergeists in our past life and we just like can't break the habit. For your icebreaker, this one's real tough. Would you rather never be able to speak again or be forced to say every single thing that crosses your mind?
Hey, how funny. We are so similar. I have a question very similar to that I'm going to hit you with right after this.
Okay.
Let's see. Maybe never speak ever because I can communicate in other ways. I will say I think really random things and people do not need to know what goes on 24/7.
For real. Like when I look at couples sometimes, I'm like, they bone. They have kids. Is that weird?
Oscar is still shocked. No, he's still shocked to this day that literally I have no, I don't know if this is very, I have no regard to what I will look at. I will like just observe everything. And he's like, Melanie, what? How did you even pick up on that? And I'm like, I don't know. You didn't see that? And he's like, no. So that's something that like all of my thoughts with all of my observations do not need to be said.
I hear you. I don't know.
Okay.
I think I'd rather just say everything and be like, let me explain myself, because I would be thinking of how horrible I felt immediately, so I'd have to say that too. So I think I'd rather say everything than nothing.
And then be like, here's why.
Yeah. I mean, we have a podcast, so
Okay.
clearly I want to talk. Next one. Melanie, would you rather know how you're going to die or when you're going to die?
When. Definitely when.
No, I want it to be a surprise. I'd rather know how.
I think I'd be looking out all of the time for the how. If I'm like, okay, I'm gonna die in my 80s. Okay, let's see what's gonna happen. It's gonna happen this year. I'd get all of my things in order, hopefully.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, here's another one. Would you rather give up your favorite food forever or eat your favorite food but only alongside your most hated food?
I can't even think what I hate the most.
I know,
I hate fat. If there was a big bowl of fat that I had to eat for every favorite food item. So what was it again? Would I rather eat?
You have to give up your favorite food forever, or you have to eat your favorite food next to your most hated food always.
So difficult. I'm going to give up my favorite food because I would literally vomit up every time I had to eat fat.
I know, but then I'd be like, so skinny. No. Strong, not skinny.
It would be, not an alternative for me. I can't. I'm a very texture person.
Yeah, I totally hear that. I don't I love when we eat like menudo. I love lengua, but I more like swallow that part or like, what is it, the intestines? I just swallow it whole. Yeah. I can't chew it because I'm like, ugh.
Tripas. I can't.
Tripas, that's what it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is my last one for you, Mel. Would you rather be the first to die or be the first one to be infected with a virus that turns you into a monster?
Totally the first to go. I'm such a chicken.
You're like, I got this, guys.
Deal with it. Yeah,
I'll take one for the team.
Yeah.
All right. Your turn.
That's so easy. Okay. Would you rather a spa day or a wine day? Like a winery day?
Shit. Two of my favorite things.
I know, for you especially.
You know what? I have better memories of spa days than wine days. So I'm going to say spa day because they just feel so good. If any spas want to sponsor us, please do.
Yeah. Oh, Massage Envy. Hello. I'm here and where am I? Not triangulating myself.
Don't do it. I
know.
I think we should make it very clear that we do not live in the same place. We are not next to each other talking. We are states away from each other. So, yeah, if we have some issues with tech, give us some grace. We're trying.
We're doing it so far. Yeah. Okay. Next one. Would you rather be chased by Freddy Krueger or Pinhead?
Oh, man. Is it weird that I kind of find both of them attractive, like in a weird way? So
that is very weird. I chose both of these guys because they have like the same way of killing you. They're so gory about it.
I think. Okay, so I was watching Nightmare on Elm Street again for the first time in like decades, and I didn't know that Freddy Krueger was like a pedophile in the movie.
Oh yeah,
did you know that? They talk about that's why they killed him.
Yeah, he lured them into his basement.
Yeah, so fuck that guy. I will Freddy Krueger his ass. Well, I would rather have Pinhead.
Okay. Is it pedophilia or is it that he killed them in there?
No, it's pedophilia. I hate him.
Oh yeah, that's not cool.
It's gross. I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
So I prefer Pinhead for sure.
Oh, that's why they burned him down though. They got They got their justice.
Yeah, good. But now he haunts kids in their dreams.
Now, yeah, terrifying. This is the last one. This is the one that I was like, Val, this is why we're sisters. Would you rather have someone announce your every move, like literally everything you do, or have everyone share their thoughts as soon as they come up to talk with you? Like whenever you want to talk to somebody, they're going to tell you everything they're thinking.
I feel like I'd rather people tell me everything they're thinking because I don't need people to be like, Valerie's holding in a fart. Valerie picked her nose.
Valerie farted, actually.
Yes.
Valerie holding it in.
Valerie failed at holding in her fart. No, I'd rather hear everyone's life story because it's just interesting to me anyway. So, yes, I'd rather that.
Sounds good. Well, then, we will start in January 1971. The Perron family moved into a 14-room farmhouse on a 200-acre property in Harrisville, Rhode Island.
Dang, I had no idea it was that big. I'm sorry. I had no idea it was that big.
Oh, no. It started off huge, yep. I'll let you know how big it is today. Guess how big it is today. 200.
Acres?
I'll give you a minute. Yeah, it went from 200 in 1971. Think about what it is today. I'll ask you.
I bet it's 5 acres now because they sold it all off.
Yeah, not a terrible guess. We'll get there. So this family, the Perron family, was made up of Carolyn and Roger Perron and their 5 daughters. Talk about a lot of estrogen.
I know. I feel so bad for Mom because she had to raise 3.
I know.
But 5?
I was imagining 5 could not. So their names were, from oldest to youngest, Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cynthia, and April. Almost immediately after moving in, the family noticed strange things happening. The haunting started with move-in day. The family had to battle a snowstorm on their very first day in the home. Andrea, 12 at the time, remembers seeing someone on her way to the kitchen.
Like a person?
Yeah, a person.
Oh.
She was moving a box her father had asked her to take to the kitchen. On her way through the dining room, she saw an oddly dressed man. She greeted this man like nobody, like, "Hi." Once in the kitchen.
What?
Ooh, lightning storm. Yeah, she's just like, "Oh, hi."
Yes, if you all hear... Sorry, Mel. If you all hear spooky rain and thunder, it's because we're both in the middle of a thunderstorm right now.
Oh, are we sharing the same storm? Is that triangulating us?
No, I don't know. I just know it's fucking happening. Sorry, I'm pouring water. Okay, go ahead, Mel.
It's all right. So she greeted this man, and when she arrived in the kitchen, she asked her mom who he was. Her mom was like, "Who are you talking about? There's nobody over there."
Yeah.
Her sisters also were like, "Yeah, there's nobody here. What are you talking about?" Like, they invited nobody over. They were moving in.
Oh my gosh.
The family dog and cat were also reacting as soon as they got to this place.
Oh my gosh. Animals know when shit like that is around.
Andrea Perron writes in her book, House of Light, House of Darkness. So Andrea Perron, that's the first daughter, the eldest daughter.
Mm-hmm.
The dogs were thrashing themselves, and before long, the dog was dead. Shortly after, the cats left the home completely.
Like the cats left? Like just like deserted the house?
Yeah, they just wandered out.
Or did something eat them?
No signs of that. That is what. No signs of that one. But she did write that the cats left the home completely.
Oh my gosh.
Creepy stuff. Even the animals were like, deuces.
Yeah.
Carolyn, the mother and wife, noticed small things happening at first. The broom would move from place to place. Small piles of dirt would appear on freshly cleaned floors with no explanation.
Hold on. I can explain. The ghosts like to clean. So the broom was moving, and the little piles were like the dirt piles of broom that the poltergeist or the ghost was sweeping up. Why is she complaining about that?
No. That they would appear on freshly cleaned floors.
Oh.
So somebody was making it dirty.
With piles of dirt, those hoes?
Yeah.
Okay, look,
Yeah,
I would be pissed. I would be pissed if a ghost made my job harder. Like, seriously? Okay, sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, I already have 5 girls in this house. What are you thinking?
Yes.
She would hear the sound of something scraping against the kettle in the kitchen when nobody was there, too. So, spooky noises. Soon, things worsened. Birds would fly into their windows. Clocks would consistently stop at 3:07 a.m.
Do you ever wake up at that time and, like, feel scared?
Oh, after that movie, the Emily Rose, I woke up at that time for months after.
I know.
Okay, so let's see. Landlines were constantly being replaced because they would lift off of the cradle until someone entered the room. Then, the cradle would slam back down into the phone.
What?
Yeah, like they don't want them to get calls is what I was thinking.
Oh,
and then they were like,
scary.
"Look, I'm here. Look what I'm doing to you." As soon as they walk in.
I swear Mom would do that to us when I was grounded, which was like all the time when I was in 8th grade. So I wouldn't make phone calls. She would just keep it busy.
Oh, wow. That's so old. That dates us.
I know. I'm so old. It's fine.
not even
I like
that
it.
bad. We're not old. Alrighty, so Blue lights were seen traveling through the home, so orbs, spirits. Cindy, the second oldest daughter, witnessed the fridge door open and close over and over while items were being thrown out.
What? I hate that. I hate that.
Yeah. Nearly every night, she would hear spirits tell her that there were 7 soldiers buried in the wall.
What?
Yeah. I was like, Val, where are you?
No, fuck that, dude. I don't need anyone telling me anything that's like not a person, but to hear that something's buried in my walls, no.
And this house is ancient, so when we get there, it totally makes sense. I'll tell you all about it. Okay. The dishwasher would turn on its own, and toilets would flush themselves. The family would hear objects crash through windows.
What? They would just hear the sound of like breaking windows?
Yeah. Like something was being thrown, and there was never evidence of that it happened. Just hearing it.
Nope.
The ghost tried calling Nancy to the cellar well on the property.
Which one's Nancy again?
Nancy is, I think, the middle daughter. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's the second oldest.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
With all of this going on, the Perron daughters eventually began to move around the house in groups of 3.
Oh my gosh, the buddy system.
To use the bathroom, to go to the other room. They were terrified of going anywhere.
Should I be scared that my son is like that now? Like, he won't go into his room by himself. He won't even come upstairs by himself. He's always like, I need someone to come with me, please. And it's like annoying to me because I'm a lazy mom sometimes. And I'm like, dude, just go to the bathroom. But he's always like, I can't go by myself. I'm scared. My youngest is like, you don't have to come with me, Mom. I got this.
Is G-Man, is he the one that told you that he heard something or saw something? I thought it was the youngest one.
No, it was G-Man. It's always G-Man. He's always been a little creeper.
Oh, wow. That is kind of scary.
Didn't I tell you? Okay, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I distinctly remember when I was at like a mom's play group with G-Man and my friend and her children, and we were, leaving, and we were buckling the kids up in their car seats, and I remember he was like laughing while I buckled him in, and I wasn't tickling him or anything, and I was like, what is so funny, you goofball? And he was like, ha ha ha, there are 2 moms, you, and he like pointed next to me but behind me, and I was like, oh, my friend is right behind me, and I turned around and I was like, what? Because no one was there, of course, and I was like, what? Who's there? Like, what does she look like? And he said, and I remember he had to have been maybe 2, and I don't even know how he knew this word, but he said, she looks like cinnamon. And I was like, what?
Yeah, that's so creepy. I got the shivers with that story, Val.
I know, dude. So he might like have that veil or whatever, but no, thank you. I think
he might be able to see things still.
I just distract him like, no, it's cool. Let's talk. Let's just not talk anymore. Let's play the quiet game. Because I'm in denial. Okay.
Okay, so let's see. Where were we? Okay, so the sisters were moving in groups like G-Man seems to do at home. And Andrea Perron, the oldest, writes in her book that there was an evil male presence that often lurked in the bathroom, which is why they would have to go in groups. She said, you couldn't use the bathroom without feeling like you were being watched.
No, thank you.
Not in the bathroom,
Check, please.
Roger Perron, the father, insisted that there was nothing going on in the house.
Oh, I was going to say, where's the dad when all this shit is happening? But, okay.
Yeah. So Carolyn was being seriously affected about all of these things going on. So much so that the family began to notice that she was taking on a personality that might not have been her own as far as what she was wearing and how she was speaking.
Oh, no.
Because she was researching the history of the home. Like, they thought, oh, it's her hobby. She's just becoming, a part of the house in a way as a historian. During her research, she found that it had been in the same family for 8 generations and that many of the family members had died in mysterious or horrible ways.
Hold on. Does that mean she was a family member or she just, like, jumped in.
No, they bought it. They bought it from someone. I'll tell you a little bit about the story of the purchase. So, in Rhode Island, you do not have to inform the buyer of the existence of a supernatural presence, nor does it require them to disclose any paranormal events that may have taken place on the property.
Fucking Rhode Island. That's rude. That is rude.
Right? So, in Andrea Perron's book, she states that on the day the family moved in, the man selling the house told her father, leave the lights on at night.
Leave the lights on at night, carry a Bible, wear a rosary, and fucking garlic around your neck, I'm sure, is what he was, like, rocking the whole time. Because he knew shit was going down.
And that's what the family moved into. So they didn't know anything about this before they moved into the home, and uncovered so much while Caroline was researching the history of the home. The house itself dates back to 1680 when it was deeded to the Richardson family after being surveyed by John Smith, one of the first Virginia colonists. After the land was settled, it was parceled to several families in the area, and one of the families was that of John Arnold. The Black Book of Burrillville, the town's former public records book, confirms that since the property has been built, there have been, I want to give you guys a little bit of a content warning, some gruesome material coming over, if you want to jump ahead maybe 30 seconds. 2 suicides by hanging, 1 suicide by poison, the rape and murder of 11-year-old Prudence Arnold by a farmhand.
Oh my gosh. Asshole.
That's the bad one. 2 drownings, and I mean, all of these are bad, but 2 drownings, and the passing of 4 men who froze to death. So,
oh man,
that's a lot. A lot of death went on there.
Yeah.
Allegedly, Mrs. John Arnold of the Arnold estate family hung herself in the barn at the age of 93.
How? How did that even happen?
I don't know. Allegedly.
I know. I just think maybe they were built different. So if she lived to be 93, she was a tough ass broad.
Yeah,
especially back then.
It is also believed that there is a history of a blacksmith shop on the property, and that is where the men may have froze to death. Contradictory to the Black Book of Burrillville, Prudence Arnold's death certificate says that her sexual assault and murder took place in Uxbridge, Massachusetts, so it is likely that she did not die on the farm. In Andrea Perron's book, she says that most of the recorded deaths which occurred on the farm were in that family, the Arnold family. Mrs. John Arnold, Harmony, Johnny, and Prudence. Even Bathsheba was an Arnold. Dun, 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 dun. Does that not ring a bell for you, Val?
It does,
Bathsheba? That one especially?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I was like, I didn't hear like a reaction. So, Bathsheba. The spirit of Bathsheba is the one depicted in the movie The Conjuring, the worst of all of the spirits.
Okay, I didn't know that, but oh shit.
That's why I was like, you don't know this? I love the Conjuring movies. They're really good movies. So let's see. According to Andrea Perron, whoever the spirit was, she perceived herself to be a mistress of the house, and she resented the competition my mother posed for that position.
Oh.
Bathsheba Sherman Taylor lived on the Perrons' property in the mid-1800s. She married fellow Rhode Islander Judson Sherman, 1 year her senior, in Thompson, Connecticut on March 10th, 1844. The two were married by Vernon Stiles, a local justice of the peace. Bathsheba filled the role of housewife while her husband Judson worked as a farmer on the land. The pair had a son together named Herbert L. Sherman, born March of 1849. Bathsheba was approximately 37 years old. It is possible that the family had 3 other children as well, who passed before reaching the age of 7, but this cannot be proven with census records. The family also took on a boarder likely to help them on the farm. There is no evidence that she was actually rich, only local suspicions when an infant mysteriously died in her care. When the baby was examined, it was determined that the mortal wound was caused by a large sewing needle that had been impaled at the base of the child's skull.
Oh no! What the fuck, Bathsheba?
The townspeople believed that Bathsheba sacrificed the infant as an offering to the devil. In her book, House of Darkness, House of Light, Andrea Perron describes a conversation she overheard between her mother and a man she refers to as Mr. McKirchen, a local historian. Andrea overheard Mr. McKirchen say Bathsheba treated the help badly and that she starved and beat her Sherman farm staff.
Rude.
Bathsheba died in 1885 at an old age and lived to see her son, Herman, marry his fiancée Anna in 1881. Her grave is located at the historic cemetery in downtown Harrisville, Rhode Island. So if you guys are wondering why she didn't go to jail for possibly injuring a baby with a needle, it is because there was no evidence. They could not find anything that said, hey, this was her fault. They couldn't find the needle. As far as I found, there was not enough proof to charge her with murder.
That's bullshit.
I know. It's really scary. The family came to believe that the worst spirit in the house was that of Bathsheba when Ed and Lorraine Warren heard Carolyn's account of one strange event. A few years earlier, Carolyn had been lying on the sofa when all of a sudden she felt a piercing pain in her calf. Her
Bitch
calf
is still at it. Sorry.
Right? Yes, that's okay. That's exactly, Val. You're on it. Her calf soon began to spasm. When she checked her leg, she found a puddle of blood where the pain was. Carolyn looked around for bees or anything that could have caused the wound, but didn't find anything around. In her book, Andrea Perron, the oldest, describes the wound as a perfectly concentric circle, as if a large sewing needle had impaled her skin.
Fuck.
The Warren suggested Bathsheba could have taken this needle she was rumored to have killed the infant with into the afterlife.
What a hoe.
From that point on, the evil presence was referred to as Bathsheba. So that's where the story comes from. That's what happened. In the movie, it does not cover how long the family lived there. The family lived with these things happening from January 1971 until 1980.
No, why? I mean, I bet it was hard to just, move houses, but damn.
Exactly. When asked why the family dealt with the spirits for so long, Andrea Perron says, I heard that question.
Did you hear that?
Wow, that was a big one.
I know.
We're both getting storms right now, guys. Val's got thunder, some serious thunder and lightning, and I've got some serious lightning.
Okay, go.
I hear that question most every day. I think we were supposed to have this experience and share it with the world. Some of the things the family dealt with, as she says this, guys, that was her response to why do you deal with this? Some of the things that they dealt with as well were the smell of rotting flesh and spirits that would lift the bed at 5:15 in the morning, like clockwork.
No, thank you.
Right? I don't want that. I don't need an alarm, sir.
No.
Let's see. So the real property that the Perron family lived in for 9 years is still standing today. It is located in Harrisville, Rhode Island. The barn is also still standing. And it had been originally 200 acres. Val, you guessed it still has 5 acres with it.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
How many acres?
It's not that off. It's 8.5 acres.
Hey, I wasn't that off.
Yeah, I was like, it's not bad. That's why I made it all dramatic. So again,
You're
guys,
like,
in Rhode
you're
Island,
wrong.
You're really wrong. In Rhode Island, you don't have to inform the buyer of all that stuff, so really sucks for that family. I'm not sure about the family that's in there now, if they were informed about anything that happened, but they are definitely fed up with people trying to go onto their property, so stop doing
Hold
that.
on. You said a family lives there right now?
Yeah, they're living there now, and there are some YouTube videos. I didn't watch this one, but the homeowner claims to disprove Andrea Perron's some of the things she said in her book. So go and watch that on YouTube. Pretty quick. Goog, just search the Perron family story.
Yeah.
So let's see. Where was I? We were talking about how the Warrens came to find Bathsheba. So a little bit about the Warrens. The Warrens met at the age of 16 and were married shortly after. Ed Warren is a World War II veteran. I didn't know that. And after the war, he attended art school. However, he didn't graduate.
I was going to say hot.
Instead, right? Instead, and when I thought about it, in I think it's Conjuring 3, he is painting the nun.
Yeah,
I didn't see that there was
I just love the actor who plays him. He's so sexy.
He is handsome. I can't tell you his name.
He reminds me of my husband. That's why I like him. Don't be jealous, Russ.
There you go. Let's see. After the war, he attended art school. He didn't graduate. Instead, he and Lorraine began taking trips to New England to sell Ed's art. Ed began drawing homes that were allegedly haunted. So this is really how they got into what they were doing now, guys. It's pretty random.
Yeah.
Once completed, Lorraine would present the art to the owners, and the couple would get an invitation into this home through their painting. From there, they would discuss what's going on and try to get information from the family.
Not gonna lie, it kind of sounds kind of scammy.
Scammy? It was a YouTube video. I will post about it, but I don't. Okay. I'm assuming that they heard about it from the local area and didn't go to just like any house. They were houses
you mean
they
like
knew
they
or
went there
places
specifically
they knew.
to go?
Yes, they wanted to explore the paranormal in New England.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay.
It's very random. I don't know if you know, but Ed Warren is a self-proclaimed demonologist.
Yes.
Yeah, he studied that all on his own, so that was his training. And Lorraine just claimed to be a clairvoyant and a medium who was capable of communicating with the demons that Ed usually discovered. Yeah, so this is...
I mean, I totally believe in ghosts, but do you think they were legit, or were they like money grabbing people?
I don't know enough. I'd have to watch like a whole bunch of videos and read their books to have a really good opinion. I enjoy their stories now and to this day, so I hope that there is some truth. And I feel like it's pretty fair. Both of their opinions for Andrea Perron and Lorraine Warren, two people that were there and experienced this, they were really fair about the movies. They were like, yeah, they didn't really embellish too much. We tried not to let them embellish too much and stick to the true story. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Of what happened. Yeah.
Yep.
So I hope so. There's more. I have more to talk about now that we have introduced Ed and Lorraine Warren. Okay, so in 1952, Ed and Lorraine founded the New England Society for Psychic Research, the oldest ghost hunting group in New England. They quickly gained notoriety as respected paranormal investigators after their initial investigation of the Amityville hauntings. So, no one in the family had contacted the Warrens, according to Andrea Perron. She says that they simply showed up at the door the day before Halloween. Apparently, someone had posed as Carolyn Perron and contacted a young man and his research team at the local college. He was the one who contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren on the family's behalf after having a disturbing experience his very first visit to the Perron home.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what happened there. The Warrens investigated the home for a total of a year and a half.
Dang. Do you know if they lived nearby during that, or they just like live in the house?
I assume that they had their own like motel or whatnot. That's usually what they show in the movies anyway.
Yeah, okay.
They go somewhere, yeah. They concluded that a seance after that year and a half was necessary for Carolyn because this lady was not getting better. So Andrea writes this of the seance. She inadvertently was, she inadvertently attended the seance. Her and apparently 4 of her sisters were hiding nearby and saw everything that happened. Andrea states, the seance was far more intense than anything they could have portrayed on film. It did not happen in the cellar. It happened in the dining room. And I knew from that moment that evil existed. Present were a priest, medium, a full technical crew to try and film this event, and an audio crew.
Okay.
Andrea continues to write that they inadvertently opened a door that they could not close. The medium invited the spirits in, and with them came something which attacked my mother.
What the hell? Isn't that like the first rule of like seances? Don't invite them in? I mean...
Oh, yeah. The medium invited the spirits in. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I think that is rule number 1. Don't say, hey, come in.
No, thank you. Yeah, you are not welcome here. Go ahead.
If she was possessed, it was for a brief period of time. Whatever attacked her was not of this world. It spoke through her in a language that does not exist on this planet, and it levitated her in the chair that it was in.
Mm-mm.
And in a split second, when it was done, curling her body into a ball that you would have expected to hear bones breaking,
Oh, shit.
it threw her into the adjacent parlor about 20 feet away in literally a split second.
What the fuck? And she lived?
Yeah. When my father tried to race to her side, Ed Warren raised his arm to stop him, and my father turned around and punched his lights out.
Good for you, Dad.
He took a man twice his size to the floor. Then he told the Warrens to pack up everything, to get the hell out and never come back.
Hold on. Was he, like, possessed? Was he
No.
possessed, or was he just, like, pissed off that his wife was, like, super possessed now?
I think he was trying to go to his wife, and Ed Warren was keeping him from her.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. The spirits were quiet for several months after this took place. Carolyn's health, however, kept wasting away. The family had to stay in the home until 1980 due to financial instability. Carolyn's mother insisted she should come and stay at her home, afraid Carolyn wouldn't survive another winter. The parents started over on a newly built farm in Georgia. Unfortunately, the family didn't have a very happy ending.
Oh, no. What happened?
I'll let you know. Let's see. So Andrea shares that none of their lives have gone back to normal since this experience in the Perron family. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't share this part, so I'll say again. Like, what do you do when your husband is imagining things and you are trying to recover after being in a haunted house for 9 years?
Yeah. Shit.
The parents ended up divorcing, and ever since, Andrea shares that none of their lives have ever gone back to normal.
Yeah.
She says that once you are touched by a spirit, there is a door that opens that can never close again. That somewhere, at some point, something is going to make itself known to you and tap you on the shoulder.
Oh, no.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
A little bit more. Let's see here. This investigation, according to the Warrens, is still their most intense, like most compelling. It's the biggest case they've done of their career. In an article with Tallapoosa? I thought it was Tallapalooza.
I have no idea.
In an article with Tallapalooza Journal, Andrea was asked whether other homeowners have ever experienced something similar to her family's experience. This is what she had to say about it. Everyone who has lived in the house that we know of has experienced this. Some have left screaming and running for their lives. The man who moved in to begin the restoration on the house when we sold it left screaming without his car, without his tools, without his clothing. He never went back to the house, and consequently the people who owned it, the adjacent landowners, never moved in and sat vacant for years.
Dang.
The current owners of the home have said that they have had far less intense experiences in the home today, such as doors banging in the front hall, sounds of people talking in another room, the sounds of footsteps accompanied by a door opening in another room, and her husband's chair vibrating in the study. The wife has seen a blue light across the bedroom, and her husband believes he once saw a fog in the home. However, both look at things from a scientific standpoint and never jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
For anyone that's still a skeptic after the story, Perron says, "People are free to believe whatever they want to believe, but I know what we experienced." Since her experience, she's written 3 books on these accounts of what happened here. The first one, or the one that I refer to the most in this article, or in the story, is House of Darkness, House of Light.
Yep.
Well, that's it, Val. What do you think?
I guess I have to watch The Conjuring again because I remember when I first watched it. I've only seen it like once, maybe twice. And when I first watched it, I couldn't go into my basement at Mom and Dad's for a long time because I was so freaked out by it. And Dad would always laugh at me. He was always like, "Oh, Valerie," and like roll his eyes at me when I was like, "Do you want to go with me to put this in the dryer?"
Oh,
it
that's
was creepy.
hilarious.
But
So
yeah,
sweet.
yeah, he was funny. But again, I have to watch it again. I'm trying to like remember flashbacks of the mom being the crazy evil one. I think I'm thinking of The Conjuring 2 mostly, and I know that was in London or, overseas. It
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
here.
the Enfield haunting.
That's the one I was thinking of. Okay, but no, this is
Mm-hmm.
really cool and just creepy as hell.
Yeah. And just another reason to rewatch the movie, guys.
Super creepy, perfect for this stormy night.
I love the Conjuring movies. They're really good. I wish there were books. I have to look and see if Ed and Lorraine Warren have any good books out.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I
they
don't
do.
know. It didn't they both die now? Are they both dead? I know Ed died before
I
Lorraine.
think Lorraine is still alive.
No, I think she died, and that's why I saw all those like TikTok memes of like the person dressed up as Annabelle like dancing because she was dead, and now she's free or whatever. No,
Oh my gosh, so
do you know what I'm
sad. No,
talking
I
about?
did not see that.
It's like a human. I think it's a man who's dressing up as Annabelle the doll, like all creepy looking, and it's like when she found out Lorraine died, and it has her like dancing in. He's like dancing in the car, or I don't
You
know.
have to send that to me.
It's super creepy. Okay, well, I'm gonna lighten the mood with this true crime story that's definitely it's true crime, but it's a feel good story in my opinion, because I'm just like, justice. Okay,
Yay. Okay.
so we're gonna go to West Virginia, and I originally heard this on the Small Town Murder podcast, and I love them. I love that they do stories and crimes that aren't really popular. They're really, I mean, it's called Small Town Murder because they only do these small town crimes. And this is one of them out of all of the podcasts that I've heard, of all of their episodes, that I was just like, damn, I love this story. And like the host said, it was actually pretty hard to find the information, so I only have 2 sources, but I feel like they gave me all the information I needed, which is cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to go to Leyland, West Virginia. January 30th, 1983 is where we'll start. And at this time in this place, there was a 35-year-old man named James Duncan that was reported missing. His family was concerned about him because they found his truck abandoned kind of near a river, but it wasn't like in a car accident or anything. It was just left alone. And so, the
Weird.
cops, yeah. So the cops were called by the family, but that's not really where our story starts. So that's just setting the mood. So during the early morning hours of January 29th, 1983, so a day before the cops were called, James Duncan had arrived at his rural Fayette County home. And it was, when I say early morning hours, I mean like after the bar closed, after last call was called. He had been partying it up with his friends, drinking his life away, just enjoying his life. And he went
Having a good
home.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. And he went home where he lived with his wife, Cleo, and his infant daughter, and Cleo's sons from a previous marriage. So their names were Jerry, Joey, and Bobby. So he was out drinking and partying it up with his friends, and he goes home to his wife and 4 kids, who are definitely asleep because, again, it was after last call, very, very early in the morning that day. And he was super drunk, from wilding out. Isn't that what they do in, like, West Virginia, the Wild Whites of West Virginia or something? I don't know. I don't watch that. But
I've never heard of that.
good. I don't know. I've just heard horrible things. Russ has mentioned it before. Anyhow, so Duncan, this, again, just perfect husband, wakes up his wife Cleo when he gets home because he's drunk as hell and he's hungry. And he's like, yo,
Oh, no.
make me something to eat.
How rude.
Seriously. Very rude. So she wakes up to this butthead and she, makes him some food, puts it on the table for him. Here you go, love of my life. And then this jerk gets mad because the food wasn't as warm as he wanted.
Oh, no.
So he gets a plate and,
Sir.
throws it across the room, slams it, breaks the dishes. He's pissed. We'll
So
find
he's
that.
rude and ungrateful.
Oh, this James Duncan guy, we'll call him Jimmy, James, Jimmy. He's an asshole. He's an alcoholic, abusive man.
Sounds like it.
Totally. So, yes, he threw the plate across the room, which, of course, started like the Royal Rumble in their house that happened so often. He starts chasing his wife around the house, getting ready to kick her ass because he's an asshole. And, yeah.
Scary.
He's running across the room, chasing after her because he wanted to beat her up, and she runs outside because I guess that's what they normally do when he's about to kick her or beat her or whatever it is he's doing. But he eventually brought her back in, and he's hitting her inside and yelling at her, just being horrible. And all of this commotion, of course, woke up Cleo's 17-year-old son, Jerry Raines. That's the oldest boy. And just like any 17-year-old person who cares about their mom, he jumps in to defend his mom, telling his stepdad, Duncan, to, leave her the hell. Well, his last name's Duncan. He tells Jimmy to leave her the hell alone. Get away from my mom, leave her alone. And so Duncan is like, oh, okay, I'll kick your ass instead. So he starts chasing his stepson, Jerry, around the house. I know this sounds awful because I said this is a feel-good story, but just give me some time.
It'll get there.
Yes. So this jerk is running around now chasing his stepson, who's 17, and of course, just like his mom did, he runs outside. I guess they lived kind of in the boonies. They weren't surrounded by a lot of people. They were mostly woods, so he ran to the woods to hide. And I guess Jimmy, the stepdad, the dad, he talked himself down and was like, dude, come inside. It's going to be fine. I'm good. Just come inside. We just need to talk. So Jerry, the stepson, goes in with Jimmy, and his mom is there, and the other kids have woken up at this point. They don't mention the baby girl, but the boys are all there, and he sits them all at the table. Where then Duncan, the dad, goes and he grabs a giant kitchen knife, and he starts lecturing the boys on how to keep the fire going in their wood stove, because that was just another thing that pissed him off. It wasn't warm enough in the house. So he's carrying around this giant knife, yelling and lecturing them on how to take care of the house, because it's their job, not his. Anyway, at that point,
Yeah, he seems crazed.
He's horrible. And then Duncan grabs this gun from behind the kitchen stove that belonged to his mother-in-law, Cleo's mom, Dorothy. And he starts waving that around to his family.
Oh, brother.
And there was so much noise and so much commotion at, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning at this point, that Dorothy Grubb, who's Cleo's mom, she wakes up next door. She lives next door to them. Not super close, but not super far. And she hears, and she just hears him yelling and acting crazy. So she's like, what the hell is going on? So she gets up and she goes next door to see what's going on. And she sees Duncan acting, foolish and stupid and just crazy with a gun and a knife. So she actually manages to wrestle the gun from him and shoots him. She shoots him in the chest once, killing him instantly. Yay, Grandma saved the day! Right?
Whoa.
She just shows up and she's like, what the hell's going on here? She takes her gun from him because it was her gun that he grabbed from behind the stove in their house, and she shot him. She's a good shot. And he died.
That's insane.
Immediately. Yeah, it is. But when this happened, Dorothy, Cleo's mom, freaks out. She's like, oh my gosh, I killed my son-in-law. I'm going to kill myself. So she turns the gun on herself.
No.
Because she's freaking out, and they have to, talk her down. She doesn't kill herself, thank God. But she was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? I killed him. I'm going to kill myself now. This is horrible. I'm a horrible person. I don't deserve to live. But the family talks her down, and, they're all sitting down, freaking out, and they come up with the idea. Because, again, her boys are awake. Cleo is the wife. Dorothy's her mom. And they all know that, Dorothy shot Duncan. And they decide, as a family, as a strong family unit, that they need to bury his ass in the backyard.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Let's just go bury him.
Yeah, we're going to bury him. So, Dorothy and, Dorothy and the oldest son, Jerry and one of the boys, Joey, go kind of to the backyard. It's 130 yards from the house, so not super close, but not super far. And she instructs them on how to dig a hole to bury him. Because she's not doing it. She did her job. She killed him. She's good. They need to bury the hole. So they start doing that, and, Dorothy actually helped Jerry, the oldest son, put him in the hole, and they cover him up with dirt, to hide his body. And then Jerry and his mom, Cleo, are like, all right, we're going to stage this to look like an accident. We're going to, everyone in town knew that Duncan was a drunk and an asshole, so they were like, it's cool. This is not going to be a surprise. So they take his truck to, I guess it's nearby Prince. It's either a town or a county. But they take his truck over there, and they ran it over a hill to the edge of a river to make it appear that, Duncan had swerved off the road kind of in a one-car accident. And, it didn't quite make it to the river. Unfortunately, they were trying to make it like he got into the river and he was just dead. Who knows? The animals took him. He went to the water. Who knows? But it didn't quite make it to the river. It was kind of like on an embankment. And they were like,
what a thought out plan.
I know. They were like, oh, well, we're going to leave it stuck there. And then so they're like, phew, okay, we got the truck done. And they start walking back to their car to leave when they realize that they locked themselves out of the getaway car.
Oh.
So they're like...
You're joking.
No.
Where did they leave the keys?
They're in the car. They locked themselves out. Like, they're in the car. So they're like, shit. What would you do?
Oh, I don't know. What do you do? Okay, the body's not there.
No. I would break the window and be like, fuck it. I'll pay for a window. We got to get out of here. We're staging a murder cover-up. We can't be here. But they didn't think that way. Instead, as they were like freaking out by the car, like, what are we going to do? The keys are in the car. Someone they know from town drives by. Just like a random person.
Perfect timing. What time is it now?
It's still like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Because, they had to bury the body. And they went to go stage a truck. And so they kind of, like, the person stops and checks on them. And they're like, hey, will you give me a ride home so I can go get my spare keys? So that's what they do. They hitch a ride, go back to the house to get spare keys, and then have that neighbor, whoever it was, take them back to their car. And they go back home. So
this man must have been terrible.
I know.
For what? 5 people to be like, yeah, it's okay. He's dead. Let's get this going.
I don't think they told the neighbor anything about it. They were just like, oh, dang. We locked our keys in the car. So, okay.
I definitely don't think they told him anything.
Well, you just mean like the family?
But yeah, that the family can agree to this and get this done so smoothly.
Yes. Well, smoothly is a very generous word, Melanie. We're going to keep going because it's not over yet. So when they get back home, that morning, that's when Cleo, his wife, called the police saying he was missing, and the state police started looking for his body. So they go home, they're finally sleeping, but when they wake up for the day, Cleo is really depressed. That's his wife.
Yeah.
She's really depressed and sad, and she's like, oh no, I'm having second thoughts about how we buried him. And she was like, we have to honor him with a proper burial. It's not right that we just threw him in the backyard and covered him with dirt. So...
Oh, no. This was the day after?
This is the next day, yeah.
Oh.
And, the state police are already looking for the body because I guess, they had found the truck at some point. Mm-hmm. Yes, but there was no body and there was no, evidence of anything that happened. So the family, motivated by Cleo's desire to honor her husband with a decent burial, they decide that they're going to kind of stage his body in a different way. They figure that since they put the truck by the river, that the best thing they can do now is to, throw his body in the river. So then, when it's found by police, when they drag the river like they're going to because they're looking for him, then they can,
It's
they'll
not
find...
weird that he's there.
Yeah, they'll find him, and they'll be like, here's your husband. Sorry, he's dead. And they'll be like, cool, we're going to bury him. And it's all going to be fine. So Cleo, the mom, tells her sons again, Jerry and Joey, to go dig up his body. And so they do, right? Cool.
Okay, Mom.
They do. They're like, I guess I was going to play video games, but I guess I'll go dig up my stepdad that Grandma killed instead. So they're doing that. And while they're doing that, Dorothy, the grandma, is like, oh, shit. Okay, I love that we're going to, dump him in the river. He's going to, it's all going to work to plan. But I'm kind of afraid that they'll realize he wasn't just, like, drunk in an accident that fell into the river when they find the fucking bullet from my gun in his chest.
Oh, man, I did not think of this.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay, she watches true crime or something because she knows. So she was like, oh, maybe there's something else we can do. So the mom has the kids dig him up, and they bring him home, and then they put him on the kitchen table where Grandma uses a knife to cut open Duncan's chest to try to find the bullet in there from
Lady,
her gun.
What are you thinking?
Yeah. And so while she's doing this, she removes his heart and his lungs. But she can't find the bullet.
Now it's just like they're just put his organs on the black market.
Yes. Well, they're no good now because he's been super dead. But, like, I just imagine, like, a frog that you dissect in, like, biology, except it's him because they're looking for his gun, or the bullet from her gun. So, they cut open his chest to find the bullet without any luck.
Well, yeah, they're not doctors.
I know. So, but it was like a 22 or something, which apparently is like a big slug. I don't know. It doesn't like explode your heart.
Idea, yeah.
I know nothing. We'll have to ask Russ to be like our gun expert. Anyhow. So Cleo, that's the wife, her mom Dorothy, and Jerry, the oldest son, then take the body to Wiggins Bridge near Hinton, West Virginia. No idea where this is. Shout out if you live nearby. Anyhow, this is where they attempted to throw Duncan's body off a bridge. And I said attempted because Duncan's foot became entangled in the superstructure of the bridge.
Holy crap.
So that he wouldn't fall. His body was left hanging over the river. And when I say this, his body was left hanging over the river and his chest was like ripped open and his guts were like hanging there. He was just
spewing out?
Well, I don't know about that, but he was just hanging there. Open, like a frog. Again, think dissected biology frog. So he's stuck there because his fucking foot won't let go and they couldn't get him down. And while...
What in the world?
Yeah. So Jerry was under the bridge, trying to dislodge his foot when headlights appear. And it's a police car from that Hinton town. So Cleo and her mom get back in their car and leave, but they leave Jerry there.
Okay, so they're just going to let them take the fall. What the heck? I mean, this looks terrible. This family did not go about it the right way.
I know. Well, kind of. Okay, so...
I mean, yes, the killings is fine.
It was justified, for sure, but they're such a mess. It's like, if the Three Stooges were trying to get away with murder. It's like everything that could go wrong definitely
And I
did.
only say the killing is fine, definitely, because it was self-defense in this moment.
He's a piece of shit. Yeah, anyhow, sorry. He was a drunk and a woman beater and a kid beater. Fuck him.
And anyhow. He had a gun in his hand already.
And the knife. So, so that happens, and, Cleo and her mom are freaking out, and they were like, you know what? Fuck this cover-up idea. It's stupid. We just have to turn ourselves in. That's it. So they are driving to the police station the next morning when...
Cleo and her mom?
Yeah, Dorothy's the one who killed him, and Cleo's the wife.
Didn't Dorothy and Jerry get caught on the bridge?
No, it was just Jerry.
They leave the son out there?
Yes, I was wondering why you didn't mention anything about that.
I thought it was the grandma and the son, and that the mom and another son were like, all right, they're going to take the fall.
No, it was just Jerry, the oldest son, who was 17.
Oh, no. Yeah, okay. Thanks, parents, for finally thinking they should go talk about it. Adults, sorry.
Yeah,
Thanks, adults.
Yeah, the next morning they were like, shit, we can't get away with this. Forget the cover-up. We're just going to go and, turn ourselves in.
A whole night.
I know. So they were on their way to the police station when actually two state police officers intercepted them and placed them under arrest. So Cleo, Dorothy, and Jerry are all arrested and taken to jail. Jerry's in juvie. When they get there, Cleo and her mom actually were put on bail for $50,000, which I don't know if you know, it's really not that much because you only have to pay 10% or 5% of bail to get out. So if they say $50,000, you're not paying $50,000, you're paying a percentage of $50,000 so you can get out and wait for your hearing or whatever. That's what bail bonds are. And if you don't show up, you owe them the money pretty much. It's that's what bail bonds are. And Jerry, the kid, unfortunately, was not given a bond because he was in juvie and they just don't have, I don't know how the bond works for juvenile kids, but they just had him in juvie while they were waiting.
Okay.
So the trial starts, and the judge says he had to consider the gruesomeness of the crime, the fact that the kids were all nearby and, exposed to this craziness, and then they're lying, because of the setup to get away with the murder. And, he had to think about...
So much to consider.
He had to think about all of that. So Cleo, the wife, was tried on a 2-count indictment. The first count was charging her with murder, and the second count was charging her with unlawful disinterment. And I had to Google, disinterment is not where I left it. Hold on. Oh my gosh, where is it? I think I closed it. So disinterment is pretty much when you exhume a body without permission. So you give someone a proper burial, you go back and dig up the body. You're not allowed. That's called disinterment. It's super legal. You can't do it. So her first charge was murder. Her second was disinterment because of the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. On August 14th, 1985, the Fayette County jury acquitted the appellant Cleo on count 1, but they found her guilty of the unlawful disinterment of a dead human body. So she was not convicted of murder.
Yeah, she didn't kill him, I guess.
But she was, the digging up. And the Cleo was sentenced to a prison term of 2 to 5 years at the West Virginia State Prison for Women at Alderson, West Virginia. Okay. That's kind of weird. She was guilty of disinterment, but not murder, and she was only sentenced for 2 to 5 years in prison. On her way to prison...
That's not, very long.
At all. So on her way to prison, the judge is like, actually, you can go back home while you appeal, and we'll just give you credit for that previous bail that you had before. And instead of going to prison, he's like, you know what, you can stay one night here in jail before you go free to go wait with your kids. You're a mom, they need you, but take the night off, sleep in this jail cell for one night. So it looks like she's getting some kind of punishment, one. But honestly, as a mom of 4 children myself, I bet that Cleo had the best freaking sleep she's had in a long time, even though she was in a jail cell, because it was one night without anyone bothering her, including her shitty, drunk, now dead husband. So
I cannot comment on this.
I just thought it was cute. I was like, one night.
If I were Cleo, I know no matter how many children I had, I would have a lot on my mind.
Again, it's because you're not a mom. You don't know how precious sleep is. Anyhow, so Dorothy, Cleo's mom, she actually just says, you know what, I'm not going to even fight this. She pleads guilty to murder and disinterment. She gets 2 to 5 years for both charges, and the judge says that the sentences are going to be concurrent. So they're going to be at the same time. So max, she'll be in there 5 years.
Oh.
For murder.
I'm like, oh, that's so nice. But is it because they agree that was there any mention of self-defense of any kind?
No. But I think it was such a small little town that everyone knew how shitty James Duncan was, that they were like, he had it coming. Everyone fucking knew that he was a piece of shit.
I'm really wondering, what is the standard for murder charges? And do they change based on how the murder was done? Because that sounds super little.
Oh, it's super
low.
It's not even done. So she pleaded guilty, and it was 2 to 5 years max. The sentences are going to be concurrent. And then the judge decides that the sentences should be suspended. But she was going to have no access to guns for 5 years, and she would have probation for 5 years. and she was released from jail in November of 1986. Dorothy, the one who shot the gun, ended up serving a mere 55 days for murder and disinterment. And that was it.
You guys didn't hear me because my mouth dropped. Because that's insane.
Yeah, and she left the courtroom apparently crying tears of joy, which is like, of course, she got away with murder. I mean, she spent 55 days for murder. And again, it wasn't actually said in any court documents, but it was like a given that he was a piece of shit who beat his wife and his kids and was a drunk. He had it coming. It was just...
And everybody knew. Yeah.
Exactly.
They at least got to tell them their story of things too, right?
Yeah. Okay. When in her court case, she talked about everything, how he came home drunk and blah, 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 and the knives and the guns and everything. And how her mom, saved them, really. Anyhow, so after that happened, Cleo, is still going for her appeal. And her lawyers decide that they're going to try and say that her sentence wasn't, for the disinterment wasn't legit because when they buried him near the house, it was just to hide him. It wasn't like a proper burial. And that was the whole issue of why she unburied him. And apparently, according to the rules, to be... Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
And they were like, so, yeah, it wasn't really burying him. And it was like all just wordplay. Like, you say buried, I say hide. I hid him under some dirt. It wasn't the same thing. But also... It's just dumb. I think they were just trying to go for something, and the judges were like, no, the sentence stands. No, it was
okay.
It wasn't like a nice fancy burial, but she fucking buried a body and she dug that up.
It is what it is. It's a burial. You can't cover it. You can't call it anything else.
Yes, so the sentence was affirmed, but Cleo was still out by 1990. So that happened in 87. She was only there for a couple of years. And that was it. She got out.
Wow.
And Jerry, unfortunately, I don't know how much time he had spent, but that oldest son who had been a big part of this, he had a really bad life. He was in and out of jail in 03, 04, 06, 07. And he ended up dying at the age of 43. So he was not very old. He just had
relatively young, yeah.
But I mean, he helped cover up the murder of his stepdad, and I'm sure he dealt with a lot of shit with him just being around that hostile environment for so long. So I feel really bad for him. But I guess on a happier note, in October 2019, Dorothy Grubb, the mom, died at the age of 92. So she lived another 35 years free after, committing murder. She was happy. And Cleo is, apparently she's 71. She's still alive. I didn't look into much of her, but she's out there living her best life, I guess. And that's it. That's the story, which, again, it's not super happy, unfortunately for Jerry, but I was just so relieved to see the justice system work out in a way where this shitty person got what he had coming to him. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to make fun of any victims. I don't want to say blah, blah, blah. But everything I heard on podcasts and articles, the few that I read, he was a piece of shit. And he constantly beat his wife and his kids and was a drunk. Just a shitty, horrible person who probably didn't deserve to die, but I'm not sad that he did, because technically Dorothy was defending her family when she shot him.
It was still in self-defense.
Yeah. So that's it. That's a short little story of James Duncan and the horrible flops that happened during this murder. Just like anything bad that could happen did. And I just thought that was funny, and it just made me that was refreshing.
Definitely very weird how charges are put onto people. I'm very suspicious of that city, but I'm also how little is this place or town? How little is it? And how bad was the guy?
I don't know. You had me at, if I heard he beat his wife and was a drunk, I would have been yeah, fucking kill him. I would be totally Chicago'd out, he had it coming. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, definitely. The musical.
But that's it. That's all I got. So, you want to wrap up with any reminders?
Yeah, definitely. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Discord. We're working on that at Terror is a Mood Pod. So be sure to shout out there. And Twitter. Twitter's new. You can find our videos on YouTube if you prefer to listen there. Val, do you have anything?
Just thank you for listening, and bear with us. We're only going to get better, and I love that we get to share these stories with you guys. So we also have the Patreon if you all want to support us that way. We'll have special episodes for Patreoners coming up
Patrons.
soon, right? We're just going to call you Moody's.
Is it patrons or Patreoners?
I think it's Patreoners, but our people are going to be called Moody's because we love you and we think that's what it's going to be. Thank you for listening, and follow us on all the socials.
Spook you later.
And remember, moody people live longer. Bye.
Bye.
End recording.